Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Jen and this is Sunfire Designs. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to make a little, I don't know exactly what you call it. It's a tray, so it has a tray in the shape of a shell, and then it has a lid that goes on top of it like that. I made one the other day and my best friend just fell in love with it when she came over and she took it. Well, I gave it to her. And so I wanted to make another one for myself. And so that's what I'm doing today. I have already mixed up my resin. In case you aren't aware, I use Janchun resin, which is from Amazon. And I really like it. It does pretty well as far as bubbles. I do have quite a few bubbles in here right now, only because I haven't let it sit like I normally do before doing a bloom. I don't need to, I'm not adding white or doing anything like that, so I don't need this to be a specific temperature. Usually I heat up part A because it tends to be thicker, even though it's pretty warm where I am now. I live in the desert and its temperatures are pretty high. I have air conditioning on in my house, and so I like to just warm it up just enough to reduce some of the bubbling when I mix it. In the winter, I will warm up both of them, but in the summer, I only warm up part A. And then I mixed it up in here, and I'm going to get started. I mixed up 10 ounces. This is supposed to take about 9.5, but I wanted to make sure I had enough. Last time I didn't quite fill it up high enough on the edge, and so the lid wouldn't stay on until I went back and added more. So I'm hoping to avoid that this time. So I have 10 ounces here, and the bubbles are starting to work their way up, which is fine. They will continue to work their way up as I'm working. And what I want to do is I want to color the resin first, and then I want to, I'm going to scoop this up so you can see what I'm doing. I want to color the resin first, and then I want to add a little bit of this ghost gold, just a little bit to give it a little bit of a shimmer. You'll still be able to see the stuff that I'm adding to it, but it'll give it a little bit of a shimmer. So the alcohol inks I'm using today are from Brea Reese, and I have ocean green, turquoise, and I have, let me see, where's the other one I was going to use? Oh, the other one is T-Rex inks, and I'm going to use Glacier Blue. So I'm going to try these out. If I remember, the ocean green is pretty pale, but I'm hoping to mix them together to kind of get like a blue-green for the ocean. So I'm going to add 3 drops of the ocean green. And yes, as I remember, it's very pale. You can't even tell that I added it in. Alrighty, so we will not use that one because it's going to take way too much. Lesson learned. I knew it was light, I just didn't realize it was that light, which is rare for these. This brand of pigments are very pigmented, so when I put them in, they tend to just, you know, explode because they're very strong. Okay, I'm going to try the turquoise now. I'm going to put 2 drops of the turquoise in. That's a little bit better. Yeah, that's good. I don't want it to be super blue or super green. I just want it to be kind of just a hint of color. So I think that's probably all that I'm going to add. I just need to stir it up better because it's not stirred up very well. So it's really, really just very subtle. Just a very subtle, like bluish green color. So I think that's going to work perfectly. Now for my ghost gold, I'm going to start off by adding just 1/2 of one of these little spoonsful because I don't want it to overpower it so that you can't see the items that I'm going to be putting in the dish. But this will add a nice little gleam to it, a little shine, if you will. So let me mix that in. And I can see it already. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It's just added a slight little gold sheen, I guess I'd say, to it. So I'm not sure if you can see that from the camera. Looks like you can, maybe. So And it'll depend on the light, which direction you're looking, how strong that the gold will show. So we just mix it a little more to make sure that it's all incorporated. And it looks like it is. And you know, as far as bubbles go, if I have a few bubbles, oh, it doesn't really matter. This is the ocean after all. And the ocean does have bubbles in it. So I'm not too worried about that. All right, so I'm gonna move this off screen and bring this down so that we can see. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pour this in here. I'm just gonna start with a little bit on this one because I wanna go and kind of use my stick and make sure that the bottom part doesn't have any air pockets. So do this. I may have to go and put clear on top because it doesn't look like I made enough. We'll see. This one's actually a lot fuller than I thought it was. So I'm gonna take my little pointy little spatula thing here and just kind of run it along the bottom edge on the inside here to make sure there aren't any little bubbles hiding out in there that would cause me to have little open spots. All right, let's dry that off. And all right, so let me put some more in here. It needs to come up and cover underneath here, so I need to add a little more. All right, that looks good. Of course, I'm going to be adding things to it, which is going to make it a little taller. I am going to have to come back and add more resin to this, but I will probably do that. Actually, I'm going to go do that right now. Mix it up real fast. I will be right back. All right, I am back. I went ahead and I filled up the rest of the mold. I took my little spatula here and I did scoop underneath around the edges here because bubbles can collect there and it's just a little annoying when it does. So I think there looks like there's one. Nope, that's just the mold. All right, so we are ready to move on and start adding things to the inside of the tray. Now it's important to remember that when we're putting things in the trays that they need to be upside down because the lid, this is the bottom half of the lid and this is the bottom of the tray. So everything is upside down. So we just need to make sure that when we put things in, we remember that so we don't, you know, end up looking at the back of our items and not, you know, where we want to be looking. All right, so I have some really cute little things I want to try. I found these wooden, they're wooden, so they might float a little bit, but I will just keep pressing them down and hopefully they won't stay up at the top too much, but they're little wooden turtles. They have turtles, they had, I think, I can't remember what else. There was a dolphin and something else. But I thought that these were really cute. So they were $1.25 for a package of 6. There were 3 different things. So I'm going to start off by putting one in here and kind of just pushing it down. And it's going to let some bubbles up, but that's okay. I'm just going to poke at them and make sure they all come up. And because that happens, right? Whenever you add anything to resin, you can end up with bubbles. I keep getting a lot of bubbles right there. Okay, a couple more. I will come back and keep checking on that as they work up. All right, so I think I'm gonna put one on this side too, because I kind of like, I like the turtle, so I want to see it a couple different times. So I'm going to put this one in here, push it down. Now it's going to float. I know this, but that's okay because what it does is it makes it look like it's just deeper in the water than the other things. So, which are probably also going to float. That is like what happens when I try to, when you try to add stuff, you have the possibility that things are going to float. Not worried about it at all. So, all right, so we will keep pushing those down as we need to. Let's move on. Another thing I have is I have these seaweed or coral. I don't think they're more like coral. Little coral. I got this mold off of Temu. And so I've got a large one and a small one. I think the small one is going to work better for this, what we're looking for. Although I could put the big one in the lid. It would just take up a lot more of the space. I definitely want to put the small one in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Put the small one in here, kind of towards the bottom. I am going to put some rocks and shells and stuff down there to kind of make it look like there's the bottom of the ocean there. And let's see, I only have one orange one, or I have blue. So I think for the top, I want to use the big one. We'll give it a shot, and maybe I'll regret it, or maybe I'll be happy. I won't know until we unmold. Get back down there, little turtle. You too, little turtle. Oh, you're kind of staying down there now. That's good. I think it just has to work all the bubbles out of itself, and then it'll start to stay, hopefully. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. All right, so the next thing I want to add is I want to add some like rocks or shells at the bottom. I have a couple different types of rocks and shells here. I've got these turquoise rocks, which I think are really cool. They look like real turquoise. I have these colored shells, which are really kind of cool also. And then I have these rocks, which come in purple, green, yellow, and then some clear or white. So I may put in a mixture of them. I don't know. I'm going to check and make sure there's no bubbles hanging out underneath this. There probably are going to be bubbles hanging underneath it. Oh well, not a lot I can do about that. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the look. The turtle has sunk to the bottom though, which is a good thing. All right, so I think I want to use maybe a combination of these two, and as well as some shells. So I'm going to put some of the turquoise rocks on the bottom here. And same on here. So they kind of look like they match at least. Now these are going to slide because there's a little slope there, but that's still cool. All right. Add that. Can make sure they're all where they're supposed to be. Down there, little turtle. Alrighty. And I'm going to use some of these shells here. Just add a few of those in there. Kind of, I'll be mixing them up. There we go. And I do want to move them around and mix them up to make sure that there's no air bubbles trapped in them. Now the bottom of the tray, this part is a lot more shallow, and then the lid is a lot deeper. So I just need to watch and make sure that things are not taking over in the deep one. All right. Now, okay, I think that's good for shells and rocks. I do have some glass, but I think I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe I can sprinkle a little bit of it's very fine crushed glass. And I think if I just sprinkle a little bit, now I gotta remember that I'm going backwards, so this might not be seen unless it sinks through or it acts as a background. Okay. All right, so those should sink there in a minute. It might take it a minute to sink. There we go. Straighten out their little coral. All right, now I found the cutest things. These are buttons, and I found them at the craft store, and I think they're so adorable. So I'm gonna put an octopus, let me move my turtle up a little more. Same with this guy, move him up if he will stay. And I wanna put the octopus kind of down in the middle, right here. And then push it down. That's another one that may float, I don't know. It is plastic, so depends on if it's more dense than the resin. But I figured he should be on the floor. I have some starfish, which can also kind of go, I might try to tuck them underneath the rocks because I probably should have put them in first. But I can stick him in here. Now, bubbles will come out of that, and he does float, the little starfish, so that's why I think I'm gonna put like a shell on top of it to hold him down. That way we don't have to worry about him floating all over the place. Same with this one. I'm gonna put him down here and kind of tuck him underneath a shell so that he doesn't rise up and cause problems. Okay. All right, what else do I have? I have some really cute metallic sand dollars that I got. I think I got those at Joann. I want to say I got them at Joann. So I'm going to kind of just tuck those underneath a rock as well so that it can be seen, because I should have done all that stuff earlier and I did not. I don't know if there's room in here for this one. I'm just going to put it in the one. Now, I also have some shells that are from various places. I have some that actually came from the beach in Mexico, which are kind of cool. And then I have some other ones that I just have gotten here, there, and everywhere. So the thing about these is that some of them will bubble, depending on if they've got a hole in them or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put a little bit of resin that I have left over in here, and I'm going to take some of the shells that I think I want to use and see how it has that hole there. And I'm going to soak them in here for a few minutes and see if I can get some of the air bubbles out of them. And that way they don't float and I don't end up being unhappy. Okay, that one and that one. All right, so I'm gonna kind of stir them around in here, and I'm probably gonna take this, it's a very, it's like almost like a toothpick. You could use a toothpick or whatever, and I'm gonna kind of poke it in the hole where the bubbles are coming out to try to help them out, because there's quite a bit of air stuck in shells like this. So you're gonna get a lot more out than you think you will. And I probably should have started soaking them before I started, but hindsight's 2020. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about get the resin done, get everything set out. So, and I know it's hard for you to see, but in here, the shells have bubbles. That is why some of them are floating. If you can see in the cup, some of them are floating. It's because there's air trapped inside them from where all the little sea animals, like hermit crabs or snails or whatever is living inside them, the space for them to live is filled with air. because these have been, you know, dried out and haven't been used by anything in a really long time, I'd say. All right, so while these are kind of in here releasing their bubbles, I am going to add some other different shells, and we may end up not using these at all, in which case I'll take them out and they'll seal in resin. I'll put them on silicone sheet and they'll seal in the resin, and that way next time I won't have to worry about the bubbles because the hole will be sealed. All right, so let me set that aside. Some of them have sunk down, so. I have some really pretty scallops. I love scallops. These are my favorite shells. So I am gonna put one of these in here. This little guy keeps floating and moving. Not little guy, the big coral keeps floating and moving. Okay, I'm gonna move the octopus up because the octopus could be kind of swimming around, so. And we're gonna put a shell underneath, and I'm gonna kind of dip it under. And remember, it's gonna be facing so the top part of the shell is gonna be at the bottom, which is good because that'll help prevent it from trapping anything in it, any air. Okay, get down here. All right, and this one I'm gonna put on this side here. There we go. And I think I just want to throw a few more things in here. I think I'm going to throw, because it's getting a little busy, I'd say. So this shell here has sunk. It hasn't, doesn't have a lot of bubbles, so I'm going to pop that one in here, just on the side. All right, little guy, get in here. And I'm gonna do the same. There's another one in there that I'm gonna do the same with. Because it's heavier than the bubbles are, so even if it has a bubble in it, it's not gonna float. So, all right, come on, little dude. Might have to organize these things a little better. There we go. Okay. I think I'm actually pretty happy with the way this is, as is. So the only thing that's making me unhappy is this thing right here floating. But it is what it is, right? It's just going to give it dimension if it ends up floating towards the top of this, which will be the back. All right, so the last thing I think I want to add is I have some pearls. And those pearls are, let's see, I have a couple different sizes of pearls. I have really big white ones, and then I have some multi-size, like little blue and green ones. And I think I'm going to put a combo of both. These will float. I just kind of put them all over because they kind of look like ocean pearls, but they also kind of look like bubbles. And then I'll throw a couple of the bigger white ones in there. Okay, so I want to poke these down so they're not floating. And then they'll land where they land, or they might still float, which is fine. Okay. I really hope this one turns out nicely like the last one I did. It was so beautiful. All right. Yeah, these guys are gonna float. All right, and then I'm gonna put not the biggest one, but kind of like maybe this size here. I'm gonna pop one of those in over on the side, kind of by the scallop. And that one sinks better. Okay. And then another one maybe over here. Get down. Okay. Okay, you pardon my son yelling in the background. He's playing video games. Even though I told him I was recording. This is the hard part about recording, is having, if you've got a family or anything else, that you tend to hear them in the background. I don't have a dedicated space for recording where nobody else goes. So, all right. Well, I just got resin all over my hand. I think I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna just probably keep an eye on it for the next little bit to make sure I keep poking that down. And I'm gonna get rid of any bubbles that I can get rid of. And I will see you guys on the other side when we unmold. Thank you. Good morning. It's time to unmold our seashell dish. I am gonna start off with the lid here. I just think it looks so cool already, just from this side. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's turn it over and see what we've got. Oh, beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love the little octopus and the turtle swimming in there. It totally looks like an ocean scene. I know it's a little hard to see from this on the camera, but it looks amazing. Amazing. All right, let's do this one. All right, where's that? Okay, here we go. It's a little harder to get this one off than the other one. Okay. I like this part, this one even better. Oh my gosh, look at that. Pearl, the octopus. I love how you can see the sand dollar and then the coral is kind of coming up from behind. And this looks like it's a bunch of bubbles, but it's the glass. It looks like bubbles. I love it. It came out amazing. I'm so pleased with the way it came out. So let's put it together. Here's the lid. It fits on nicely. I filled it up far enough. And there we go. Our seashell box. Let me know what you think. See you later. Thanks for watching.